Hi there. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Nicole. I'm an independent contractor. Now, I think some people may not truly understand what an independent contractor means. And I say people as in people who are operating as independent contractors and the businesses that we deal with. So, in particular, I am a delivery partner. So, I choose to be an independent contractor. I'm making this conscious choice to be an independent contractor so that I can be in business for myself. That essentially is what an independent contractor is. It means that you will contract with other businesses to provide services that are agreed upon, and you will be paid for your time and your services, yet you are not given any entitlement to the benefits that you would have as an employee of the company. So you don't get sick time, you don't get any kind of benefits, you don't get insurance, you don't get unemployment. So essentially, when you're running a business, if you're not working, you're not making money. All right. Now, in particular, I am a delivery partner, as I've stated. So I partner predominantly with Grubhub and DoorDash. Now, as a contractor, I'm signing up with these services and I'm agreeing that I'm going to provide service. I'm going to provide customer service. I'm going to meet the expectations, which means, accepting, having a certain acceptance percentage, having a certain amount of orders that are not completed, like having as high a percentage as possible in certain criteria as a delivery driver. And in turn, the delivery apps are providing us the opportunity to earn money and opportunities to earn that money. So they're providing us the business, and then it's our decision to go out and get it. So you have to maintain a certain percentage. If you get to a certain point, you're running a risk of possibly getting deactivated, and then it takes some appealing and things like that to get back on, unless you've done something so egregious that they just like, no, that's it, you're done, you're severed, goodbye. Okay, so I've been doing this for 5 years, and that's important. Okay, 5 years, from February of 2017. We are now in January 2nd of 2022, so that does equal 5 years. Now, of the 5 years, 2 of these years have been in a pandemic. Okay, so we're coming up to the 2-year mark that United States has been experiencing pandemic across the board. Okay, now, a lot of businesses in 2020 struggled because there were local mandates that required that they not allow people inside to dine, etc., like that. So a lot of local businesses folded. Okay, a lot of them struggled. A lot of them were eligible for PPP loans. And also, the larger corporations were eligible for those PPP loans. In particular, I want to talk about PepsiCo. PepsiCo, I believe, received $1 billion in PPP. Now, that's for operations, and I understand, maybe manufacturing got derailed, especially if people got COVID or people were afraid to work in close proximity of each other, and they, because of COVID, or you had to scale back on how many people, how much staff was in a particular location because of COVID. I understand that, fully understand that. However, we're now on year 2. We've learned a lot in that time, and these companies got their loans, and municipalities eased up on mandates. From major pressure and pushback from restaurant owners, they finally eased up on the mandates, and they allowed businesses to start operating again, and being able to have diners in their restaurants at almost full capacity. It started at like 70%, then 80 and 90, and now we're at like full capacity. And for up until very recently, a lot of the restaurants had a whole setup where a lot of the parking that would be available was used as additional outdoor dining. So, but now because of the cold weather, that's been taken away. So all that is back to business as usual, back indoors. But I really want to talk about these national chains. Okay. Now, they've all had to modify their business models. They have. But you've had 2 years to figure this out. Now, I want to talk in particular. I'm going to talk about my local area. Now, I do expand. I do work maybe a maximum of a 20-mile radius around where I live. And I live in Stamford, Connecticut, so most of Fairfield and Westchester County. Lower, okay? Lower Fairfield and Westchester County. And most of the restaurants have learned to adapt to these very unprecedented times, and they've had to learn how to adapt and handle the volume of food delivery orders that they're getting on top of their standard workload. In particular, restaurants that run drive-thrus. I want to talk particularly about this one particular McDonald's location in Stamford. It's a standalone spot, and they are 24 hours a day, and they of course have indoors, but they have a drive-thru. Now, only recently, within the last few months, have they finally started to allow people to dine inside during normal business hours. And then I think around 10 or 11, I think around maybe 10 o'clock, they close indoors for indoor dining, and they don't take orders indoors. They switch over to a model where it's only drive-through. If you're a regular customer, you can only go through the drive-through. What they do, however, is they keep one door open for delivery partners. They want the delivery partners to not go into the drive-through. They want us to come inside. So they will allow delivery partners to come inside and wait for the orders so we can get the orders at the counter. And other McDonald's that are 24 hours, of course, they're open. They may not have drive-through, so you have to go in. So of course they're accommodating because their dining room is open, so we go inside and get the orders as well. And there are other restaurants like that. But then we have this Tacobell, okay? But I also want to mention before I get to that, like, for example, in my area, there's 2 Burger Kings. One of the Burger Kings has a drive-thru, one of them does not. So when the Burger King that has the drive-thru closes the dining room, we have to go through the drive-thru. We have to do it. Okay? That's the alternative. And that goes for any other business that has a drive-thru, but they close their dining room. That's the alternative. And then I have a Burger King that doesn't have a drive-thru, so I have to go in, but they close at like 11. All right. So going back, I want to go back to Taco Bell. All right. So Taco Bell runs on this model. Their dining room is open for a certain hour, and then it's only drive-through till 1 a.m. And in particular, Stamford, Connecticut has this Taco Bell with a drive-through. So when it comes to a certain time of night, if I'm running deliveries, we go to Taco Bell. The standard understanding is that you get into the drive-through, you go to the speaker, and you tell them, I'm here to pick up so-and-so. And they tell, okay, drive around. So then when you get, now what they've been doing is when you get to the window, they now tell you, as a driver, as a delivery driver, they tell you, you have to get out of the line. You can't wait at the window for your order. You now have to get out of the line and drive around and wait at the front door for them to bring the food. But, okay, anybody who goes to Taco Bell late night, and this goes for any Taco Bell, will tell you that Taco Bell drive-thru is busy all night until they close. So they're acknowledging that you're here for a pickup. But now what they've done is they'll prioritize the drive-thru, and I understand they have to prioritize the drive-thru, but me, as the one who has done what I'm supposed to do, which is go through the drive-thru to pick up my order, is now being pushed to the back of the line. And if there were other drivers that were there before me and they're waiting, I'm behind all of them. And being that it's cold months, I now have to sit there and wait in the cold. I have to wait at the door, you see, because if they don't see you, they don't acknowledge you. And they are inside prioritizing the drive-thru orders. Now, I get it. There has to be a balance. There's customer service that has to be provided. Okay, I understand that. And people at the drive-thru, and people want their food. People get cranky. Okay, so now if I'm sitting in a restaurant for 30 to 40 minutes waiting for a hungry customer's order, that customer is now going to get cranky with me. They're not going to get cranky with Taco Bell. First of all, Taco Bell does not answer their phone. That's number one. Number two, that person has used Grubhub or DoorDash to get their food. And so their first initial instinct is that they're going to text the person who's supposed to be picking up the food, because these people are very used to doing that. Because why not bother the person who's bringing me my food? I'm paying them. I'm paying them to bring me my food. Why aren't they bringing me my food? I think most customers have the right to know why their food is being held up. So I and many other delivery partners are the liaison for those customers. These are customers that have chosen not to leave their house for many reasons. And for a lot of people, especially at this particular point in time when Omicron is being spread throughout Stamford, Connecticut like wildfire, they're quarantined. So they're not leaving their house. They want food. They're making delivery options. I'm now going to these restaurants, quite frequently. And in most cases, I have to pick up multiple orders. So in some cases, I may be there for 2 or 3 customers. And I understand that now presents an even bigger problem for Taco Bell employees. However, if it weren't me picking up 3 orders, it would be me and another 1 or 2 delivery drivers picking up those same 3 orders. It doesn't matter. It's still in the work queue. Okay? So now I have to wait sometimes 40 minutes. And now my earnings have dropped because now my time has been consumed there. And if I decide to leave and run another delivery or 2 in the meantime, I run the risk of those Taco Bell employees forgetting about me. Okay? Or my customers' food sitting there getting cold. That's the options that I have. Okay? Last night I go to Taco Bell. I had 2 orders on Grubhub. So it was double delivery on Grubhub. Okay? I get there and I picked it up. I took it because of the time of night it was, and I thought possibly the dining room was still open. When I get there, the dining room lights are on and there's people inside. So I'm like, great. I pull on the door, it's locked. So I knock on the door and people let me in. And there was an employee who was on his break. I don't know who he is. I don't know if he's a manager. I don't know what he was, but he was in the corner in the dining room and he complained. He's like, "What are you doing? We're closed." I says, "It's raining outside and I have to do delivery and they don't allow us to be in the drive-thru, so I'm not standing outside in the rain." And that was my answer. And it pissed me off. It pissed me off because this has been a common practice of this particular location for a year. Delivery drivers have been putting up with this and tolerating this for a year. We are constantly, it's every time we go there, we are pushed to the side. We are not prioritized. Again, remember, we are there to pick up food for Taco Bell customers that are generating revenue for your business. So I mentioned the McDonald's in particular because, as I stated, McDonald's takes deliveries all night long and McDonald's operates a drive-thru. They've just learned it's easier to have the drivers come inside than have the drivers in the drive-thru. So they've, like I said, allowed the drivers into the dining room. And it either needs to be that drivers can come in and sit and wait, or drivers can be in the drive-thru. But it's unacceptable, particularly in the winter months and in the inclement weather, to expect a person to sit out in the cold or in the rain or in the snow waiting while there's employees inside looking at you and ignoring you when you're tapping on the door, or when there are off-duty employees inside goofing off with the other employees and you're witnessing it and they're still ignoring you. That's unacceptable. And I understand it's stressful. They are constantly working. And in particular, they're very overworked. And what I don't see is an increase in their workforce. There's no additional bodies. You may be hiring for people who've left. You may be replacing bodies that have left, but there's no add-on. There's nothing to help alleviate some of that workload for these already overworked employees. Okay? And typically what happens is when people are overworked, they drag their feet and they start working slower and they get resentful. See, and I worked in corporate retail and I understand what corporate does. Corporate wants to cut costs every way that they possibly can. So they want to work on as small of a crew as they can, and they want to shave hours as much as they can. Managers are given so many hours a week that they have to allocate among so many employees. So they have to figure out how to cover their shift with the employees that they have and the amount of hours that they have, and they're not allowed to go over those hours. And that needs to stop. We are in maybe, pre-pandemic that worked, but we're in a different time. We still do not have any positive outlook as to when this pandemic is going to finally break and give us some relief. So now 2 years operating this way is unacceptable. You have to figure something else out. You cannot keep doing this to delivery drivers. I am running business to business with you. And right now, I am very unhappy with my business relationship with Taco Bell, and particularly PepsiCo. PepsiCo, which is in Purchase, New York on Anderson Hill. I'm only 20 minutes away from that location. My mother was an employee at that location. I've been to company picnics there as a child. I'm just saying. It's 6 degrees of separation in this world. I'm asking you on social media to do better. So do better. You need to resolve this situation. I should not be expected to wait outside in an inclement weather, possibly getting cold, possibly risking getting another cold or Omicron or something like that, because I have 5 or 6 other drivers huddled around me who will not respect the 6 feet distance. Okay? So I can't sit in my car because they'll forget about me. I'm asking you to please solve this issue. Please speak with the management at this particular location, the district manager, the general manager, whoever it is. But something needs to be fixed. You cannot go business as normal when we're not living in normal times. And that's all I'm going to say. You have a great day. Bye.